while his friends' names were written into the history books. Louis Faurer's faded into the shadows. He was considered one of the greats, but the world barely remembers him. He photographed mid-century America with a kind of emotional honesty that few others dared. His work wasn't about composition or perfection, it was about people. Fragile, complicated, yet alive. And oftentimes a living reflection of himself. Beloved by photographers themselves, yet often unknown to the wider world, Louis Faurer remains the photographer's photographer. This is episode 7 of Street Study. Louis Faurer was born in Philadelphia in 1916. He studied commercial art, then picked up a camera, mostly to make a living. But in the late 1930s and 40s, something changed. Photography became his language. Faurer's early years in Philadelphia shaped the sensibility that would define his later work. The gritty city streets, the working class faces, and the constant tension between beauty and hardship, these became the foundation of his empathy. While his formal training in commercial art taught him precision, his surroundings taught him patience and observation. He learned to see beyond the surface. After World War II, he moved to New York. By day, he worked as a fashion photographer for Harper's Bazaar and Vogue. But by night, he wandered the streets, camera in hand, chasing the light, movement, and emotion. Louis Faurer actually became close friends with Robert Frank, and they'd photographed together in Times Square, sharing prints and ideas, and in many ways, the two of them were twin souls, both of them seeing America not through its triumphs, but through its anxieties. But while Frank went on to publish The Americans and become one of the most celebrated photographers of his time, Faurer slipped quietly into obscurity. I have an intense desire to record life as I see it, as I feel it. As long as I'm amazed and astonished, as long as I feel that events, messages, expressions, and movements are all shot through with the miraculous, I'll feel filled with certainty I need to keep going. When that day comes, my doubts will vanish. Louis Faurer's photographs were never about clarity. They were about a feeling. There are so many reoccurring motifs in his work that sort of reappear like echoes of his inner life. Hands reaching for connection, couples suspended in these moments of tenderness, and reflections that turn people into fragments. These reoccurring elements give his work a sense of empathy and loneliness. But beneath that empathy lies something deeply personal. He wasn't just observing people. He was almost like looking for himself in these people. Every portrait became a mirror, a way to express his own emotions through the faces of strangers. Faurer wasn't a reporter documenting facts. He was a poet, and he was translating a feeling. His use of black and white heightened that sense of abstraction. Because black and white is abstract, it simplifies things, but it also leaves space for you to fill that space with feeling. That's why his work resists being labeled as photojournalism. His New York was not glamorous. It was raw and intimate. He photographed what he would call the people no one noticed. Outsiders, dreamers, strangers caught between isolation and connection. Today, Louis Four's name still lives in the margins of photo history, but in the years following his death, a quiet rediscovery of Four's work began to take shape. Curators and photographers who had long admired him brought his work back into view. One of the more serendipitous moments of his resurgence involves an unexpected connection with William Eggleston. The actress Viva, the woman on the cover of this book actually, introduced Eggleston to Four's work. That moment helped spark a renewed curiosity about Four's photographs. But he still remains something of a hidden treasure, an artist admired by photographers more than by the public. Robert Frank wrote this about Louis Four. These photographs make me think of that long gone time, the 50s in New York City. Four, with these images, proves to be an extraordinary artist. His eye is on the pulse. The lonely Times Square people for whom Four felt a deep sympathy. Every photograph is witness to the compassion and obsession accompanying his life like a shadow. Maybe it's fitting. Four never really sought fame. He cared more about the empathy in truth. Because photography isn't only about what's in front of the lens, it's also about what's behind it. The way a photographer feels about the world and how it seeps into every frame. Big thank you to Squarespace for sponsoring today's video. Recently on my website, I added a new page that has a variety of different books that I own and highly recommend to all of you. All the books from my Street Study series can be found in here. Creating a page like this was incredibly seamless to do, using Squarespace's templates and customization tools. Squarespace has truly become a one-stop shop for everything around my photography business, from my blog to my digital store, and of course, a curated professional display of some of my favorite photographs. If you're interested in checking out Squarespace for yourself, you can visit squarespace.com/Faisal and use the link Faisal to get 10% off your first purchase.